the UNC and the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? What time it is? What time it is?
Yesterday, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, so this is the Saturday edition of the Corridor Transformation. And why not? Why not? Of course, we must do so, of course, with an abundance of caution. We must do so knowing full well that the PNM will not lie down. We must do so knowing full well that they will try to steal the elections. And we must do so with the acknowledgement that we have a duty and responsibility to not only monitor, not only specify, not only criticize, not only make certain that the EBC works in the best interest of the electorate and the country. And therefore, in such circumstance, we have to, of course, place and indeed deploy all of our collective and individual resources to make certain that Rowley and the PNM does not go away with this election, because we know that they have a reputation to thief. They have a reputation, of course, to steal. They have a reputation, of course, to undermine the electoral process and then claim that somehow, once they're in office and they have been sworn in, that, of course, they are an legitimate organization or government. I say to you that we must be extremely vigilant, because democracy requires eternal vigilance. It was, of course, a former president of the United States. They say he was a cowboy. They say he acted, of course, in cowboy. I talk about Reagan, yes. He says in no uncertain terms that every successive generation in a democracy has a duty and responsibility to protect, defend, and to preserve it, our democracy, for the future generations. Oh, what a wonderful motivational expression by Ronald Reagan, the late former president, of course, of the United States. That being as it may, let us not, of course, forget that democracy is government by the people, of the people, and for the people. Not a kleptocracy. You know what I say? Not a kleptocracy that Rowley has imposed on Trinidad and Tobago government by thieves. Neither is it a kakistocracy, government by persons clearly who never was ready, who would have been the least to be able to manage the affairs of the country. And when one looks at the historical antecedent, when one looks at the fact that 1986 was a defining moment politically for Trinidad and Tobago, 1986, when the PNM was decimated to the 3-3, I expect, of course, in Trinidad, in the next election, 39 none in Trinidad. Of course, the two other seats in Tobago will go to another party in Tobago. It looks as though it's Fali and then therefore it will be 41 none. None for the PNM, none for the PNM, none for the PNM. Let us not waste time. And therefore, when one looks at the level of kakistocracy that occurs now, government by those who are least able to manage the affairs, as we have seen over the last 10 years by Rowley and his bunch of incompetence, his bunch of ignoramus, his bunch of ne'er-do-wells, his bunch of criminals, his bunch of indolence, his bunch of individuals who clearly are about lining their pockets, avarice, greedy, and finally a bunch of promoters of talk but very little action. You see, it is said that an ounce of action is better than a pound of talk, but they reverse it. They reverse it. They only have talk, and at the end of the day, they don't deliver. But I want to say this. What is unfolding as we speak is another example of the level of incompetence, impotence, nepotism, cronyism that has now surfaced once again in Trinidad and Tobago. You see, Rowley and they are bent on, of course, instituting as well as, of course, making it normal for mediocrity to prevail in Trinidad and Tobago. Persons who clearly unqualified, Rowley will put them, whether it be the Attorney General, a consummate, of course, according to, of course, the courts in the United States, a consummate perjurer, a liar. And you hear him, of course, in recent times when there was, of course, a private motion in the Parliament with respect, of course, a commitment by the government to, of course, parliamentary reform. And he speaks, of course, the Attorney General Amor, sorry about that. But of course, everyone knows that he's a liar, and therefore you will forgive me if I had a Freudian slip on the tongue. But the fact of the matter is that recently, when this matter of commitment to the improvement of the parliamentary arrangements for greater autonomy and less, of course, interference by the executive, he regaled us with all kind of nice talk, hyperbole, all kinds of grandiose talk about the plans of the PNM. If we had so much plans, how come it didn't implement yet? And so much so that Wade Mark had to bring a motion that was debated, and yet still pat themselves on the chest for doing literally nothing, because all what they said had to do with futuristic and not any kind of implementation, stereotypical of how they operate, always futuristic. Dragon gas going to solve Trinidad and Tobago problem, future. And when, of course, the Tobago Sea Bridge was collapsed, he said 2 boats coming will solve the problem. Well, the 2 boats in this case are here, and the manifestation is that they're breaking down every minute. Sandal was supposed to bring, of course, over $500 million, $500 million a year, after construction and the creation of jobs as a consequence. Where is it? Disappeared. And as we said last week, the highway to Point Fortin, and the claim that, of course, OAS, the company that was deployed initially by, of course, the PNM, was considering them, and then the UNC just followed up. Rowley changed the narrative, as he has done with so many other, whether it be, of course, the Petrotrin, whether it be property tax, whether it be subsidies. So he tells us, forgetting totally, oblivious almost, but constructively, but conscientiously. And if you listen to him, you wouldn't believe that the PNM was fancy-pansying with OAS, the company that the UNC eventually deployed or employed to, of course, for the expansion of the highway to Point Fortin. You wouldn't believe. Because he has gone. I'm not saying that the OAS was bankrupt, but he went on to say that some clause in the contract caused OAS to get away. And he wanted to know who did that. So he created a commission of inquiry of one man, a fellow called Ventor, a former judge, who, the same man, when the Integrity Commission said that those emails are nonsense, they are a concoction of a very fertile, expansive, and wicked author of those emails. Of course, we know now that they were talking about Rowley and, of course, his close associates, whether it be, of course, Young, whether it be Imbert, whether it be Al-Rari. All of them conspired, of course, to commit what is clearly the highest act, the highest criminal act that any country could conceive, perceive, or execute. I'm talking about treason, treasonous act. A sitting prime minister in the form of Kamala Prasad Bisesa in 2015, before the 2015 general elections, was made to suffocate, was made to, of course, and be subjected to the most humiliating, the most disconcerting, the most unbelievable experience by an opposition leader at the time, Rowley, who lied with some pieces of paper, and 3 years later it was deemed and confirmed that it was a piece of paper that Rowley created in order, of course, to get power. There must be no sympathy for him. So when he says that, listen, he is disappointed with Erla Christopher being arrested, etc., the current commissioner of police, don't mind him. It's par for the course. He's looking for sympathy. Well, I want to tell you that if it was a fruit, if Rowley was a fruit on the road, crushed by a vehicle, I know what I would do, and I am behind that vehicle, and I expect everybody else to do it as well. Double, triple, quadruple, and multi-triple, crush that fruit. No damn good. No damn good. So the point I am making is that today, another episode of that incompetence and impotence is manifesting itself as contemporary news. But let us not be, of course, deflected. Let us not be diverted. All of it is Rowley and the PNM doing. How dare you put a person in a list of 12 and that person is the 11th and you take them and put them as commissioner of police? How dare you, on the basis of performance and, of course, public confidence in the security forces as far as a commissioner is concerned. I know that Gary Griffith has no place in politics. We know that. He's out of his league. But certainly, there was a level of respect and confidence he would have, of course, reinvigorated, if that is a correct term, into the police service. But yet still, Rowley finally was too mannish. And I understand that they are going to charge her, or they are contemplating charging, but of course, I have to tell you something as well. I understand this evening they let she go. She and, of course, the former head of the Strategic Services Agency, BESS, I hear they let them go. But you know what is going to happen there? The taxpayers will now have to fork out money, as was the case when the case collapsed with respect to Vincent Nelson and Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. They seem not to have enough of the nonsense that they have been engaged in. Incompetence, impotence, con men, con women, misbehavior in public office. So the charge that they had proposed, misbehavior in public office for Erla, may well not just backfire, but the police service may have to pay the penalty for, of course, that level of, it's not just an imbroglio, a public embarrassment. It is not just a humiliation. If that is so, that is why I remained, of course, reserved to comment on the ongoing until I get all the facts. I like to operate in that realm. So I am not, of course, speaking out of turn, or would have been accused of postulating a position that ultimately may turn out to be the opposite, and I either have to apologize or to, of course, correct or revisit. But I am not too big or too small to, of course, make those adjustments. Not like Rowley and they. He says that he is disappointed. You were told that that is not the right thing to do when you selected her. You were told it's not the right thing to do when Marlene McDonald was accused before you selected her for even a candidate back in 2015. You were told that Alvari children were holding high-powered weapons, and you went ahead and defend. You were told that your Attorney General, once again, mistake. Amor is a blasted liar, and he can't do me nothing because it's a fact. It is in court. It's a judge who say that he is a liar. He's a perjurer. We were told that. And so, such an individual cannot, out of good conscience, be our Attorney General today. Well, his incompetence is now, of course, of Commonwealth and international, what I consider to be repute. His incompetence. You know, reputation normally is associated with, of course, a person who is competent. Well, he is now disgraced with the appellation, with the name reputable incompetence. And why am I saying that? I am saying so because the Privy Council said so. The Privy Council said, what the hell only bring the appeal of Imsbert to us for? I don't want to hear the defendants in this matter, which would have been, of course, the Auditor General and her attorneys, are telling only flat one time. This is nonsense. And why the man who brought the action appeal the local appeal court's decision to let her go to court and find out why Imbert and they have targeted her. It is called judicial review, but it is that. You see, because he thought he would be able to get away like how he got away with, of course, the former governor of the central bank, Jawala Rambaran. Yes, he thought it would have been easy like that. So when he realized that the appeal court went against him, he decides, of course, to appeal further the appeal court's decision, and then, of course, he got it full blast. The Privy Council Law Lord said, why wasn't he, Imbert, investigated? And in one fell sweep, also insist that it is impossible for him to initiate any kind of investigations into the Auditor General's findings, actions, etc. That's what they say. They lay the foundation for when she goes to court in this judicial review matter as to the reason why Imsbert initiate a 3-man investigative team to unearth, according to him, the circumstances that led to what? Our money not being accounted for. It was 3 billion, then it was 2.6 or 8, as the case may be. The fact is, too much money not to be concerned. And too much money not to cause not just disconcertedness, not just concerns, but no one could, in their rational thinking and analysis of this situation, no one could conclude to the contrary that Imbert is accountable. He is the Minister of Finance. Whether he tried, of course, by Twitter or otherwise, to say that public servants and he tried to protect them or whatever it is and so on, the fact of the matter is that too is culpability. That too is an acknowledgement that you should get the ass out of office. That's what you should be doing. I don't think for one moment, unless it is part of the PNM's pernicious and always have some sinister motive agenda, that he has decided to resign or not go up for elections. And if they decided that he is not going up, then I will not be surprised if it is part and parcel of a strategy, always with some sinister motive, to try to gain sympathy from the population and the electorate. Let us not put anything past them. Let us not. And so, as I said, the verdict is still out. Whether or not Erla Christopher has been released, because that's the latest I've heard on CNC3. I'll try to get it during the course of the program. But what is important to me is that Kamla Prasad Bissessa continues, and the USC continues to be the vanguard, the protector of the public's interests, by, of course, delivering and exposing and projecting the developments by this government as they continue to fumble, as they continue to tumble, as they continue to bombard their way onto the population, telling us that by some epiphany, by some magic, by some enigma, that somehow they are credible, that they are well poised and have been so to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a bunch of mad people, and as I always say, I describe them as having, of course, it appears a perpetual, a constant bout of. Let's go straight to the lines. Let's go straight to the lines.
Good night.
Professor, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Yes, good night to you.
The Corridor Transformation family.
Yes, ma'am.
And Freeport have African too, eh? I hear you calling all about when you leave Freeport.
Yeah, sorry about that, my friend. Freeport. Sorry about that.
Lennox,
Yes.
since I know myself, I hear Indian and African they'll be giving out hampers and helping here and helping there, helping poor people. But I never hear the Chinese giving out anything. You ever hear about any? You could
No, I know of none. I know of none.
Well,
So
this
let's
is
get
the
here. So my
problem.
information is just as good as yours, or yours is just as good as mine.
All right, that is one. What do you think about the Commissioner of Police situation now with the news that we hear in?
Yeah, well, I hear recently that, of course, she was set free, and that brings another aspect to this unfolding, convoluted, complex matrix, and another piece of embarrassment for not just the police but for the government, because clearly my initial position when I review what Kamala Prasad Bisesa had predicted in terms of the importation of firearms that are prohibited, and the attempt by the government to generate an amnesty for firearms, hoping that they were able, of course, to slip that into it, and therefore that will be all right. Because a government minister or government here, the cabinet, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, high office holders, and we're going to play it just in case you missed it, were in possession or are in possession of these items, and therefore that would have been one way of course, getting them a slap on the wrist, getting rid of it without having to account as to why they have in possession that prohibited weapon. Yeah. So I remain, of course, alert. I remain skeptic, because, of course, whilst Erla, to me, appears to be a scapegoat, there is still a more critical issue. Who is that government minister or official that has a similar gun for which, of course, the commissioner was at least is tittering on possibly getting an indictment of misbehavior in public office because she might have signed off on the importation. We are still to know that. Notice that in all of the matrix, in all of the murky waters, we are yet, of course, to hear a government minister involved. But Kamala Prasad Bisesa indicated that earlier, and from all of what she has said so far, whilst it was predictions and, of course, it was prophecy, it has materialized. Every single initiative, whether it be, of course, Vincent Nelson, whether it be, of course, the Brent Thomas and that kidnapping episode, or whether it be, of course, the Police Service Commission. But go ahead, my friend. I think that is where I am.
I sent a video for you. When you have time,
Yes.
check it out. Right?
I'll do that.
And taxpayers have to make their back strong to pay Ola for wrongful arrest. Watch and you go see something. Watch it, it's playing off, it's playing off. So somebody going to make plenty money and taxpayers have to pay for that. Because it have people talking out, and they're telling Ola, do not take the lash. So who had to go under the bus, throw them under the bus. So, you know.
Yes, they were prepared to throw her. So she must be prepared to show them.
And they would have to pay her for wrongful arrest.
Yes.
What can you would see? And who paying? Not Rowley, not Imbot, not nobody. The taxpayers of this country have to pay for every single thing. And people talking out. Right? And they have a guy calling people name. You check the video that I sent for you.
I will. I certainly will. My friend. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, man. Don't forget, people, of course, we want to go up to 20, to 40, I almost say 40, 20,000, of course, a night. Tell a friend, the corridor transformation is here, your host, Lennox Smith. And while, of course, I would have preferred to, of course, dally into solutions as we started, of course, about 2 or 3 days now. And we have more, much more. That is what you see there is at the tip of the iceberg. But we have to also, of course, rationalize and to focus on these developments, because if Rowley and the PNM gets back into office, then all these plans will be a waste, because they would have used the resources of the country to put it to, of course, pernicious and evil use for their own aggrandizement, and not for that of the people and the young people and the vulnerable in the society. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hi, evening, Lennox. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, good evening. Mr. Tagariwa, hold on. I'll take you on just now. Yes. Go ahead, Miss Pidivali.
Pidivali. Yes, Lennox. So, the DPP orders the release of the Commissioner of Police.
Yes. Hold on. Let me just respond to this person here. Oh, boy.
And also the army man, the series.
Yes, Best and Ula, yes.
So we know we're going to have another good laugh, because you know they're so bold that might carry the matter to the Privy Council. But Lennox, this afternoon, this evening, the Prime Minister and like half of the cabinet was in Moruga, where he opened a fishing depot.
Yes. Well, we know what the reason for that is.
To ask, whatever happened to the pineapple plant? You remember the last election?
It is there like the PNM, inactive. A lot of money loosely spent, and then of course they make excuses and go on to the next what I consider to be venture, which of course is what transpired today. All of which are going to come to naught. The people know that, especially those in Moruga.
5 years ago, the plan, the billet, it had no electricity. We don't know up to now if it gets electricity, but I know it's not functioning.
Yes, we were told by Morugans, I think last time I was on, we were told that it is not functioning, but what it has is a lot of Lucas.
Yeah. But the honest minister works. You know, you say he's an honest Indian, he don't thief. He promises so much big thing, but it all depends on your vote.
Yes, of course. We saw it in Tobago, and after, of course, they lost there spectacularly. They went and take back the remaining projects that they had, of course, put there, spending over 50 million of our money.
That is what he told them. They have big plans to Moruga, but it all depends on their vote.
Yeah, and the people would, and I'm sure the people know that by now. That is why they rejected Gypsy, and they will reject any what I consider to be form of a Gypsy in Moruga Tableland.
Moruga Tableland.
Yes.
So interesting times. Election is around the corner.
Obviously.
Promises that never materialize. Promises. Okay, Lennox.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you and your family for the new year.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Yes, indeed, of course. Let's go to Mr. Tagarigo. Go ahead, Mr. Tagarigo.
Hey, Lennox, good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear.
Right. I want to take care of your political run for a minute or two.
No
You don't
problem,
mind?
man. No problem, man. But we are on a roll. But go ahead.
Right. I want to talk about the bar next to me. You know the bar, right?
The what?
The bar next to me.
Yeah, the bar next to you. Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
You went until after 8 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And you dropped this thing in the police station yourself
Yes.
that is supposed to close at 12 on Fridays and Saturdays
Yes, that's right.
and 11 during the week.
Yes.
They went until 8 o'clock this morning.
All right.
So, I want to see for Aruka police listening. I want them to listen to what's in here
But
too.
yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. And of course, in a state of emergency, I
Yes.
think that request, you know, for disturbing the peace in the way that they have, and the level of decibels to disturb people's quiet and the enjoyment of their property, because that is a nuisance. So I'm talking so that the Aruka police will understand, and those police officers that are on the program now and are listening will of course take note and do the correct thing. There is a neighbor that of course are elderly couple next door. The court has already adjudicated on the matter, and of course the agreement is that they go up to our next door bar, go up to a particular time and no further. And of course, we are appealing to the police in Aruka to, of course, make a check now to see what is happening, because Carnival is no exception. The fact is that let them move the bar from there if their bar is disturbing, of course, the peace. And the peace here means these people could probably, from over their fence, if they are so minded and they're so disturbed, they could probably throw some fire across there as well. That is disturbing the peace, because they are disturbing, of course, by way of nuisance, disturbing the right use and the proper use and the sacred use of their property by creating noise next door.
And listen to her.
Go ahead.
People calling me all over the night ask me what's going on. I say, oh, they have a phone to pick up and call the police?
You mean so the entire neighborhood?
That's right.
That's right. Well, then, of course, they should be, especially now in is a state of emergency. Call anonymously. You don't have to say who you are, but you could say that you're next door, etc., etc. All of them, I would advise you to start calling the police station. This is a state of emergency, that opportunity to, of course, let those people who are creating all that nuisance to know that they must take consideration to the wider community. Otherwise, move their businesses or move their business from there.
Yes, and I'm glad you're talking, Lennox.
Yes.
And I hope you look at police listening.
Yes.
Come and check and see when it's closing time.
That's right.
And then it close.
Yes. All right, my
8
friend.
o'clock. Besides, you want to call them, we can talk about politics after the second
Yeah,
call.
later. Okay, yeah, no problem, man. I know that. I know that is you are a sickly man, of course, and you don't want to get more. Should I say, further deteriorate at all, and you know, as a senior citizen, clearly you need your time in bed and sleep and rejuvenation, so to speak. All right. Yes.
We'll talk after.
Yes, no problem, man. Yes, indeed. So, Aruka Police, please do your duty. The bar. If you could call back to give me the address, because there are so many of those bars in that vicinity. So maybe you could give the address or the name of the bar, because they would know. That has slipped me, my friend from Aruka. So call back and let me know. I saw Sandy Grande, I believe, was calling, but I inadvertently, of course, disconnected you. So you can call back, of course. So don't forget the lines are open. And I want, of course, to share with you at this point in time what, of course, was a prediction and is now a reality. I'm talking about on the 6th of December. this unfolding issue with this Prime Minister, his cabinet, and of course the claim that that is a police matter is a fallacy. It's superficial and superfluous. Nothing happens like that without Rowley's knowledge. Yes.
4 decisions launches in the bar.
What's the name?
4 decisions.
For what?
C-O-U-R,
Eh.
decisions.
Yeah, 4 decisions.
4 decisions launch.
4 decisions launch. All right, okay. 4 decisions launch. Okay. All right, so
Right after street corner.
yes, okay.
Right
Thank
here
you.
next to me. You know where the bar is.
Yes. For the they must know. They must have a note of all the bars in that
Yeah.
Aruka area. Not too far from the police
Right
station.
after,
Anyway,
You know where it is? Aruka police know where it is?
yes, of course they must know. All right.
The inspector Virginia talk to them.
Yeah, because they would have to go and check the books and all of that, especially for the renewal of license and so on. All right,
Right.
thanks. Yes, people. For that bar. All right. Yes, indeed. So, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, on the 6th of January, less than 3 weeks ago, made and gave the revelation to Trinidad and Tobago as the loyal opposition. Last night, of course, I read to you her position with respect, of course, to international observers, because just as me and just as I would expect you, I would be very skeptical, having regarded to the shenanigans, having regarded to the chicanery of the PNM administration. Oh, I'm getting a problem on this side. Oh, I see why. Okay. Let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello?
Yes, pleasant good night.
Yeah, good night to everybody. Good night to you, Mr. Knox. Yeah, I wonder, this person who initiated the investigation against the Commissioner of Police, wasn't the same person who was called in the kidnapping of Brent Thomas?
Yes, same person. And a person who, in spite of all of that, at the time had a matter before the court for, of course, an accident. She was dismissed, but the fact is that before she was dismissed, she was supported and was made, of course, assistant commissioner by the Rowley administration. Go ahead, and of course you could weave anything into that because you know the reputation of Rowley and a bunch of criminals. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this. This is what you call karma, right? Here it is that this person's name was being called. The Commissioner of Police, who is the same commissioner, had a right to take the appropriate action against this person and whoever went and do the kidnapping. But here you didn't do what you're supposed to do. It turned on a hunt, you know.
Beautiful. And let me tell you what my perception is. I'm glad that you raised that point. My considered view is this, that Earl Christopher has been refusing to do the wishes of Rowley and Day. This Suzette woman is prepared, however, so to do. And so that was an opportunity, not that it didn't occur, because I'm sure they would have had the documentation, but that Suzette woman saw it as an opportunity to advance her own ambition to be Rowley and the blue-eyed girl. Don't doubt me, no.
Oh, so she playing for the commissioner.
That's right. So if this commissioner is out of the way, not being supported, and there's evidence, of course, to suggest the same, Because when Rowley said in no uncertain terms that police officers were closing up themselves in the night in, of course, the station because they're afraid of bandits, and Ayla Christopher said, no, it's not so. And there is a particular rationale for the appearance of a closed police station when in fact it would have been opened. And she made it very clear that Rowley was talking arsness, he was talking nonsense. He was, of course, in his usual, of course, what I consider to be cacophonous babblings, and of course a ranting madman, a total sociopath. And I suspect that among others would, of course, cause her to be in the predicament that she is now, of course, attempting to extricate herself by, of course, a very competent lawyer, Miss Elder. She took a very, very good person, a person who I know well. So, of course, and if you hear Elder's statement, you would want to know, well, what the hell all of this was all about? What the hell all of this was all about? Only to tarnish the woman, and clearly, if I was her, I'm not going back in that office. But of course, I'm looking for money from the state. Unfortunately, it is yours and my money, taxpayers. Rowley and they will not take any responsibility now. And we saw it is not the first time Rowley has done that. When, of course, he was up and down the country saying that Pamasa, and that, of course, Vincent Nelson was a state witness, and it's similar to Pamasa, a total dunderhead, asinine specimen of inhumanity. He shouldn't be having, of course, a piece of protoplasm, the stuff that living things are made of. In other words, he should have been an afterbirth, because he was saying up and down the place that Vincent Nelson is a UK lawyer, and therefore his integrity cannot be questioned. In other words, that is what he was saying. And that he was there to, of course, put Kamala Prasad Bisesa and, of course, some of her cronies then, according to him, in handcuff. That is what he was saying. You know, when Kamala and them came out with the fact that it was orchestrated, that it was a question of perversion of the course of criminal justice by Rowley and his entire cabinet, you know, he started to say, like what he's saying now, the government didn't know anything about that. The government didn't know anything about that. The cabinet didn't know anything about that. And especially this prime minister, he didn't know anything about that. But the culpability, all of the evidence is before him. And he will tell you that what I consider to be egregious manifestation of a total mendacious individual, a liar, in other words. I mean, the man has no compunction, and he is heartless and brutal. Probably that's why he studies rocks. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, well, you see, I just bring that to you to show you what is karma. When you ain't do what you're supposed to do,
that's right.
You just turn around and haunt you.
Yeah, who the gods wish to destroy, the first send them mad. 1, 2, the hole you dig, the ditch you dig for others, you may well fall in it. And of course, my favorite, oh, what a tangle web we weave when we first set out to deceive.
Okay.
Okay, my friend. Thank you. Yeah? Oh, you have another one?
Yeah. No, on the same man.
Yes.
How come we only hearing about gun or who signed off? Who it is, was it signed off to, and where they found the guns?
Well, the information we have is that the customs had seized it. One, the forensic department determined that it was a prohibited weapon, meaning that only the army and the police should have it. And then, of course, it was signed off from the information we have by the then Commissioner of Police, who had the authority so to do. Whether or not she would have been conscious of what she was doing in terms of that, because of course the Commissioner of Police issues these firearms users license, yes. So yeah. I think the DPP would have, of course, seen an extenuating circumstance, and therefore I probably sense that this is another scheme of Rowley and they to set up somebody. But let me go because I'm getting a problem in triggering the WhatsApp on the system. So I'll have to leave you
Okay.
there. All right?
Yeah, all right
Okay.
then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
no
see if
problem.
I get this call. I'm getting a problem on the system too. Miss Arima, you'll have to forgive me. I'm getting a problem here on the system. I don't know why the WhatsApp is not engaging, and I don't want to touch something. And next thing it gets worse. So you'll forgive me. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you, my friend.
Now, I want to ask a question concerning the letter that Ms. Prasad Bisesa wrote
Yes.
concerning the observers.
Okay.
Now, before I ask the question, I understand that she said she accepting the observers from CARICOM, but she would like to have other observers, international observers.
Well said.
But
well
when
understood.
you read the letter, I've taken my time, but when you read the letter the last time they on the ground report, I just be listening to that programming.
Okay.
I listening to the kicks and things. So I understand it in the way that she wrote that letter to the Prime Minister. That is how I understand it, and I
Yes.
want you to tell me if it's that take place, that she wrote the letter to him, informing him about the 16 organizations, some of which you had mentioned on Friday last.
Yes.
I would like you to tell me if that letter was written to the Prime Minister.
All right. I'll tell you what. I will. You finished there? I'll do better
Yeah, I
than that.
want to hear you.
Oh no,
I'm
I'll do
waiting
better
on
than
an
that.
answer.
I will read it again now. I'll read it again
No,
now.
hello. I ain't asked you to read it again. You just had to tell me yes.
Well,
she wrote the letter to the Prime Minister informing him of the 16 organizations, the 16
it appears to me
international
that-
organizations,
okay,
some of which you had mentioned.
let me
So
answer
I just
you.
want you to tell me yes or no,
No,
if she wrote it
all
to
right,
the Prime
listen,
Minister.
listen. My understanding,
listening.
of my interpretation, my understanding is that she would have been responding. Listen, responding
Yeah.
to a reporter on the matter, and therefore she went on to talk about that, and she welcomed, of course, that the reporter would have quoted her as saying she accepts, but you need to go further. All right. So I cannot say
Wait
that
a minute.
she wrote a letter to the
ain't
Prime
asked
Minister.
no, I told you I heard her, right? I heard about her saying that she accepting CARICOM.
Yeah.
But she would like to have, no, nothing wrong in having CARICOM, you know. Remember, it has 16 other bodies, right? But she said too, right, that she would like to have, I heard you saying this part, other observers, which we the citizens asking for many months now, right, for international observers. So it's just simple for you to tell me, please, the letter which you wrote, read Friday last on the ground report, if it was written to the Prime Minister.
All right. Let me speak in plain English.
Yeah.
My understanding of that particular piece of information is that she was responding to a reporter who asked her about the matter, and then she went on, of course, to say that she wrote it to 16 other organizations, and among them are those that I mentioned there.
But you read out something. You read out something for a long time. It's a letter you read out, you know.
No. It's a report.
You read.
It's a report. A report from a reporter, and the part of it, they quote direct speech. There's something called direct speech.
Yes,
well, right.
I know that.
Those are some of the direct speech that you would have had included in that letter. In that in that piece of correspondence or that piece of issued by, of course, a journalist.
So the direct speech, right, in the letter
It's to the journalist, not to the prime minister or anybody else. The journalist asked her a question on a particular matter, and of course she said, "Well, listen, right? For example, I will ask you, have you accepted, of course, what did the prime minister said that there is?" And then she said, "Yes, I accept, but I also want, of course, these other organization that I would have, of course, communicated with 16 of them, and these are some of them, and that is how the story went." Yeah.
All right. So she talking to the reporter, stating that she would also like, right?
Yes.
These other organizations to come to observe.
Yes, because she wrote to them as well.
I wanted to get that clear.
Well, I will get it clear. She wrote to them as well. That's why I said, let me read from the letter, but he didn't want that. So he wanted mine.
No, we don't want to go through that. We have to go through that. It will take too much time.
Yeah, but she said that she communicated with 16 more organizations, 16 other organizations, including, of course, those that we have been talking about all the time, Carter, of course, OAS, UN, etc. All right.
Very well. Thank you.
No problem. Yes, people. So, of course, let's hear what Kamala Prasad Bissasan's prediction was on the 6th of January. Yes, today's the 1st of February, so just a day ago, the month of January ended. Let's hear what she had to say. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm getting some difficulty with, of course, the system itself, but let's go to this call. I'll have to use the handset right through. Pleasant good night. I don't want to interfere with it. Go ahead, caller.
Good night, pleasant night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
All right, the number speaks for itself.
Yes, man.
And those detractors, eh?
No. I'm not fazed by that, but as a former teacher, you have
acquiring or possessing such firearms.
There are some people who are slow than others to comprehend.
Oh, I see. So the brain adlin then.
well, whether ad lib or otherwise, the fact is that there are persons who take longer to comprehend something than others. So you have to find strategies to make sure that they understand, that they inculcate. But at the same time, there may be others who may be similarly slow or confused, and therefore that's an opportunity for the pugilist. Not the pugilist. What happened to me? A pugilist is a fighter, a boxer. But of course, the teacher to, of course, explain further.
All right, so it appears that you're still teaching children.
Well, that's your interpretation. I see it as people who, of course, have different, retenance and comprehensions ability. We are not all blessed like you. With immediate comprehension skills. Huh?
I am just an observer looking in. I am outside looking in and reading all the comments and seeing who making sense and who making nonsense.
Beautiful.
Anyway, let me get the point.
Yeah, well, of course, I would love to have your bullseye or bird's eye view, but I unfortunately I am one of the targets.
Yeah. Let me give you a little information into that whole thing that they built on Grand Chimay in Moruga.
Yeah, go ahead.
I lived in Grand Chimay for years. I lived down there for years.
All right, good.
I know in, out, back and front. Under the PNM government with Patrick Manning, they had built a desal plant in Laloon village.
Right. Yeah. I
It
I heard
never,
that
it
Gonzalez
never,
recently. Yes. Go ahead.
it never distributed a drop of water for the people up there, the villagers. When they set it up, all it was doing was pulling sand
Okay.
up into the machines.
Oh, I see.
Millions of dollars. It didn't last as long as a snowball.
Oh, so there was
It
one
stay
because
right there. And
I got the impression from Gonzalez that it is
yes,
to be built, but it was already built under a different administration. Yeah. No?
yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes,
Okay. Wow.
yes.
Okay.
They had pumps and big long pipes into the sea.
All right.
They had security and all sort of things like that. It was up and running, but it was pulling sand.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah, because the
when they
beach down there a
realized
bit
that
shallow
they couldn't,
for a long distance. Yeah.
right. When they realized that they couldn't fix it, they shut it down. It stayed right there and it just rotten down.
Okay.
So
That's information,
what
boy. Good information, boy. Thanks. Go ahead.
you could Google it. It's on it's facts. What I'm talking about, this fishing port you see the building there.
Yes.
Now, we should understand and know by this point in time that how pirates operate out in the sea.
Yes.
Sometimes a man working a boat for you, right?
Mm.
He go out, he hold fish, he come back. When you waiting for him on Grand Chimay Beach, sometimes he go on quite Guaya and sell that fish.
Right,
or he
right.
might go in Larafin by the bridge,
All right.
through the river. It's only if another man see the boat and he call his partner, he say, hey, look, I now
Right.
see a boat in Guaya selling fish.
Okay.
So it's a star racket that be going on.
All
So
right.
that what you see the building could end up as a big white elephant.
Oh
They
my
also
goodness.
built a farmer's
Yeah,
market.
because they
They
don't
also
think.
built.
They don't think, you know, look the information I've been discussing about Lavatil and how to sustainably treat with the matter. They believe that their ideas is better than anybody else only because they have access to the treasury, you know. But I mean, take the treasury from them and they are naked as a newly born. Nothing, empty.
But let me go with this one.
Go
Look
ahead.
at another point. They had also built a farmer's market in Kachi village.
Yeah.
That and all went through.
Huh.
People just came there off and on, and they just shut down the whole project.
Well,
So it's just, you have to understand how these oligarchs work, you know.
yes,
In
yes,
order
yes.
to siphon money from
Oh
the
yeah,
public
we know
purse,
that to finish
they had to set
bill,
up
Dallas House, etc. We
big
know.
projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember,
we
you
know
can't
that.
thief from pothole money, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
thief from pothole money. You have to
Yeah,
from
because
highway
it must
money
be filled.
and all them different things.
Yeah, the money
All
too
right?
small.
So I say, let me share that with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Have a
Thank you very much, sir. And as he spoke about the closing down and the building and for closure purposes, because there is no, of course, timely maintenance of these facilities and so on. Well, the one in Carnage, the fishing depot, closed down because of toilet or sewer problem. Quite apart, of course, from the story about the boardwalk that was built south of it. That of course is a landing point for Kobo. If you go there to enjoy the sunset, you can get some kind of disease. Because Kobo filled on all of the holding areas that you would need to walk up the steps on the boardwalk itself and so on. That is where they are there. But of course somebody get the money. And at the same time, of course, for those booths that they would have built, nobody going there to visit anybody. And of course the main facility closed down because of sewer problem. Ah boy. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, good night,
Yes,
Mr. Lennox. and good night,
Lavatil
everybody
Success
who's
Village,
online.
yes. Good night.
Yeah, Mr. Lennox, listen, this country is a big joke, you know.
Yeah.
You telling me the police call a press conference to arrest herself? You believe that? Yeah, you call a press conference to arrest yourself? The commissioner of police, I watched the news tonight, early on tonight here, right? They find no evidence on this woman concerning the rifles, right? And for this whole week, if you check something, aeroplane had no gas, right? The Privy Council show that they get we name is the biggest boots in the backside, right? And it's all kind of bacchanal going on in the country, you know.
Yeah.
But here
It
I
is
think,
shambolic. They have collapsed and don't want to lie down. They're dead and they still don't want to lie down. But go ahead.
You hear what I think, and I think in this. You know, when you really think about peace and what the news satellite about earlier, the possibility is, you think this whole thing could be a setup for earlier and them to get real money? I mean, come on, man, when you really think about it, I put nothing past the PNM, you know, because I find that to be very mischievous.
Now, I am very skeptical about that Suzette woman. She appears to be very ambitious. Ambitious from the perspective of doing, even if it is pernicious, even if it is illegal, go as far as that, even if it is immoral, even if it is unethical, because Rowley and they have promoted her, and in circumstances where she ought not to have been, of course, Deputy Commissioner of Police. Yeah. Go ahead.
You mean the Martin lady? But wait now. That is the woman who was involved in the Brent Thomas case in Barbados.
That's right. That is the woman. Yes, that is the woman. And she was in charge of that. And she led, of course, that conference boastfully, authoritatively, talking about professionalism, etc. That was for Rowley and them to feel good. But clearly, Erla has done something that Rowley and they have disapproved of. You know, it's usually they would ask to do something evil and people will naturally refuse. And if you have the office, they do things in order to try to dispel you or annihilate you or discharge you from that office. We saw it, of course, with the governor of the central bank, former governor, and now we taxpayers have to pay some $7 million to him, and of course connected to Imsbert at this point in time, quite apart from, of course, his recent shambolic and diabolical act of trying to investigate the Auditor General by authorizing an investigation because he feels he has the authority, but the Privy Council said they will have none of it. None of it. And he should also be investigated. Go ahead.
Well, listen to this,
Go ahead.
You know, I listened to members in the case of the Privy Council and Williams again, in Britain now,
yeah,
right? And the only thing I could think about is my lady, my foot is in my butt, my backside is agitated.
But yeah, why not? Why not? Because they're a bunch of jokers. I mean, Larry Joseph and Tommy Joseph will get some serious competition because every day is some kind of joke with these people and them. But of course, in their case, it is very, very serious. Why is, of course, Larry Joseph and them is for amusement and for mental, of course, let's say, settlement and stability. But certainly these fellas, they want to unstable the population. They want to get them angry. They want, of course, upheaval. They want, of course, to incite people to do evil. That's what they are.
What are you telling me?
Yeah.
Listen now, Mr. Lennox, just imagine the new trend now I see with this government will lie. I mean, anyway, the more manner, the Attorney General.
Yeah, right? Limo. Sorry. Amo, sorry.
Right. You know, the new thing I noticed now, that the only blaming our public servants now is our public servant make a mistake here. And we say the same thing too.
Yeah. Public servants make a mistake of putting in 5,000. If you have that in your bank account, you can't get national, of course, pension. And them say public servants do that. So he read it, and he put himself stupidly out of the country. But yet still, he laid it in the parliament. Yeah.
If one of them gonna
Yeah, I tell you, a bunch of jokers. You have a right to laugh, but it's serious laugh. And they wouldn't get the hell out of office. They wouldn't get out. What you waiting on?
you know, man.
You're
I
5
them
years
set for
up. Get
elections
out.
now.
Get
Yeah,
out.
these are the parliament and court elections now.
Get out,
Stop
yes,
wasting
get
people time
out.
with damn stupidness.
Rowley, get
People
out.
fed up of them.
Get
People
out.
fed
Get
up.
out. Laventil, you
I'm
better
gonna
be
put
part
the
of the right
Lennox.
side of history. On this wrong, sir.
Yeah.
Be on the right
I'm
side of
going.
history. Laventil, East Port of Spain, Beta, Mercilat, Chumakak, Mova. Be on the right side of history on this occasion.
The people crazy. Go to the Lennox.
Yes, man. Yes, sir. Man, making a mockery of the system, making a mockery of delivery of government. And we must, of course, lampoon them as well, make a mockery of them. A bunch of caricatures. A pleasant good night to welcome Mr. Trin City.
Hi, good night to all. Good night, Miss Anna Cruz, Miss Arima, and all the others who are on the line. Yeah, I guess they're not going. You're looking sharp in your yellows, boy. You're blinding me, boy. I had a closing my eye when I watched you. But anyhow, I just want to.
Well, it may be the rising sun.
Oh God! Well, I see him good now. And clear. So far as who can see well, them blind like that. But anyhow,
yes.
Let me ask you something concerning them. But
yeah.
Now everybody know that he went to. He accused. Well, I say accused the
Auditor General.
What's her name? Auditor General. Yes. Yeah. Accused she of wrong information. I would say. He went to court. The court said he went straight up to Privy Council. They are all now saying that this guy, this is madness, basically. So the question I want to ask now, what it is now we're going to do from now on? Are we going to let the same police officers and them now file a case? So who have to file a case now for the $3 billion? Because we want it back. So is it that going to just disappear and go on in carpet?
Well, it is clear that
processing.
What Rowley and they is history. What they would do is, of course, pretend that it never occurred, and then, of course, hoping that they could go on to the next shenanigan, the next attraction, the next imbroglio, the next embarrassment, and people will forget that. That is what I suspect. Why? There's ample evidence. When the Privy Council said that, of course, the cabinet of Rowley tried to prevent us, take away from us our right to vote in the local government elections by postponing it. They say, no way, have it now, as early as possible. So they had to, of course, hightail and do that. But Rowley goes to the parliament and say, listen, I am not accused of infringing the constitution by, of course, taking away people's right to vote. And they convince themselves we have a duty to pronounce on them. And it is soon coming.
With so I'm hoping because if the same, all right, let's say Urla, they put it in context that she's misbehaving in office and she's been, well, investigated and all these things and being charged, and if not charged or whatever it is going on. I can't say. But what I'm trying to say, isn't he doing the same thing?
Is what?
Misbehavior in office? Isn't he misbehaving
yes, that
in
is
office?
Misbehavior in public office. The problem here is this, they are in government.
So this is it.
That's the problem.
Know,
that's
so
the problem. They are in government.
Now.
Yeah.
Why does the police, the TTPS, them not filing, or whoever it is has to be investigated now? Why does that have been triggered?
That's right. Just as how they did to Urla, they could do to he.
Yes. So that's
but
what I'm trying
the
to say.
people who are prepared, listen carefully, the people who are prepared to do it like Suzette will not do it because they are in the pockets of Rowley and they are beholden to them. So that is misbehavior in public office, and all of them must be held accountable for that level of conspiracy at the level of the cabinet.
Well, I hope
and these so-called independent institutions.
To be honest with you, I really hope that some institution could charge the police for not doing their job, or whoever it is not doing their job, and have all of them arrested. All of them.
That's
all
right.
Right, Lennox. But you stay firm, and you just continue spreading the good word of the UNC all the way to the top. All right.
All the way, of course, to 39 seats in Trinidad. All the way to 39 seats in Trinidad. That is what we must demand and pursue, because Rowley and the PNM have collapsed. They spit in the sky and fall in their eyes. If they, from the beginning, were never about, of course, the management of our resources, both human, material, and, of course, financial. It was about lining their pockets and the generating of a 1% of which they would be a part. The entire cabinet must be held criminally liable for the mishap that is now Trinidad and Tobago. Some say a banana, some say a Haiti, some say, of course, even, of course, places like Somalia. But let's go to the lines. I have to use the... I'll see it coming up on there, but I'm getting a little problem. I don't want to interfere with it. Next thing, of course, we get cut off. So we'll have to use it. We have to use the handsets. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox. A pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live. A pleasant good night.
Yes.
I have one question I want to find out from you, Lennox.
Go ahead.
Is Scotland Yard sending officials here to investigate in both and the PNM government in Trinidad very soon?
Well, unless the government makes that move, they can't come. They have to be invited by somebody of authority. So I'm not seeing that. Yeah, and of course I want to thank you for that video that you sent. That triggered, of course, a number of situations, and we were able, of course, to reconcile some of which to clarify the issues that is now unfolding in the public space. All right? Thank you. All right, let me go straight. Pleasant good night. Welcome, Miss Sally Cruz. Pleasant good night. Welcome, Miss Sally Cruz.
Lennox?
Yes, I hear you now. Go ahead.
Right. Lennox, Twin City, take the words out of my mouth, man. You're looking smart in your yellow. You see how nice you're looking here tonight, Lennox? And now what is the mama guy in here? But no, I speak to you, you understand? I like to be people commands.
Yeah, well, if Kamala could put on hers, I could put on mine.
Yeah, that's true. And Lennox, a big distraction, big distraction.
Yeah, waste of lots of time.
Yeah.
And this Suzette woman, I mean, she look as though when Rowley said jump, she will ask how high.
Ask how high, yeah, because she was the one that got off from the accident.
I wonder what Erla will do to her now.
Right, but on something here. What it was media that she.
You're coming in and out, girl.
I'm breaking up.
All right, go ahead now. Go ahead. Yes, you broke up earlier, but go ahead now.
All right, let me let me go.
It's good now. It's good. Right there. Stay right there. It's all good.
Say right there. Right. She said, it was a media release that she had sent to, make it now, right?
Yeah, loud and clear,
Right. It was a media release that she had sent out, right? And in the media release, she said that she told them that she wrote Rowley on the 16th of September 2024, telling him that we also need international observers to have free and fair elections.
Yes.
So when people come to play that, they try to advise Kamala that she need to write the Prime Minister. Kamala know that since 2015. Kamala know that since she was Prime Minister, because when Rowley was playing pushy and wrote La Rock on them, they told him he cannot write them. is the Prime Minister has to do it. So nobody has to tell Kamala that she has to do that. Kamala knows that.
Yeah.
And as you rightly said, in the 16 points that she laid out there, that why we need these observers and all who she wrote, right, concerning coming to the country for free and fair election. Because we don't want what happened in 2010 and what happened in Guyana to happen here, because this election is too crucial. Lennox, no. If PNM feel that they were going to fool the country, right, or fool the shell nuts, what happened with Erla, and we will forget what happened with Imber, they lie. Because that was the big distraction. A big distraction. Because now you hear Imber taking his Facebook post and saying it's a public servant that did it. But I find these public servants are sitting too quiet, Lennox. All you blame them for what happened to the pensioners. All you come and all you blame them for a $3.5 billion mistake. Who they're fooling? They're not fooling anybody. But you see, Lennox, what is done in the dark will always come to light.
Kamala said so. Kamala said so, and that is manifesting itself and unfolding on a day. Well, by the minute it appears in Trinidad. The evil that they have done over the last 10 years. Yeah.
And these PNMites have no shame whatsoever to get on all the chats and them and try to paint the PNMite with a clean brush, right? They're trying hard to.
But they are part of the joke. They are part of the joke, and Larry Joseph and Tommy Joseph style. Yeah, a bunch of what I consider to be persons who are not just apologists, but have a quaint sense of denial. But go ahead.
Yeah, Lennox, they have no shame. They have no shame whatsoever. But I want to know, Lennox, why Stuart Young was not charged or questioned along with Erla. Was he the one that dropped in the high-power rifle in the station?
Man, oh gosh, boy, you get the thing now, man. I started with that. Yeah, that is the issue. There is a lacuna in all of this, a space, a vacuum, and that is Kamala Prasad Bisesa said that a senior government official, it has to be a minister of government.
Once we have been hearing that.
That's right.
How did he get that weapon? Just like how Faris Charan had high-powered rifles. Where did they get it?
And more importantly, why didn't the police act? Why didn't the police act? They know what we know. Why haven't they acted? They acted, of course, selectively. That's what has happened. They are prepared to throw...
Situational ethics.
Not only that, they are prepared to throw Erla Christopher under the bus.
Yes.
Notice that?
Yes.
To protect, of course,
their
ministers.
They
yes.
don't care if she get crushed.
Yes. All right.
But Lennox is a lot of questions that still have to be answered.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And we are going to ask all those questions. And again, I must compliment Mrs. Prasad Bisesa for raising
those revelations
on the 6th of January.
Yes.
The 6th of January, and today we have seen it manifested. But I still want to know, Lennox, all that money that they said that they found in Erla House, was it true?
Well, it's clear that it's not so. That seemed to be fake news, but that's how I see it.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, because she would have had to account for that to them. And that might have been a maturity investigation in another dimension, but it didn't happen. Right? She was set free.
Right. And Lennox, the next question is, who did she sign it off for? That high-power weapon. Who did she sign it off for?
Yeah, but of course they said it was the best fella. The best fella. Yeah, they said the best fella.
Yeah.
So
the best fella. Okay.
So yeah. So no, but that's normal. That's normal. I might not have considered the law in that regard. That's a technicality. You understand? That would have tried to do. But I mean, she would have been signing off, of course, on these firearm users license, willy-nilly without, of course, saying what the specific thing is. and
Right.
even the best fella might not have known that it was a prohibited weapon different to that of, but then they are part and parcel of the national security apparatus too. So who
Right.
you didn't sign it up for a private citizen. You understand where I'm coming from? So they are in a lot of hot water. The private citizen here is, of course, the government minister that is yet, of course, to be brought into the dragnet of this despicable and unfortunate development in Trinidad and Tobago among our law enforcement agencies. Right?
Well, Lennox, you see all the holes that they dig for Kamala?
Yeah, boy.
They're falling into it one by one, right? They tried all how to bring down, because he said it in 2014. His job as opposition leader is to bring down the government, but to do so legally. Was bringing the email legally?
Yeah, and I could imagine the disappointment of those trolls and those persons who felt it was the beginning of something for Kamala. I made it very categorical on the ground report. Had nothing to do with the opposition. Let me go. I'm having a little problem here. All right, okay. Let's go to Tobago. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Tobago.
Good night. How are you going? How everybody going?
Well, you know, as could be in the circumstance, yes. We are looking at Tobago and how Rowley and they try to set up the members of the Tobago House of Assembly.
All right. Well, that's what I called it to tell you to talk about now.
Go ahead.
Remember, not too long after these fellas went into office that they carried out a raid on their premises?
Yes.
But there's a policeman who is they call him a PNM police here in Tobago. Well, right now he's in Trinidad.
Yeah.
But that is the fella who orchestrated, right?
Right.
But they want a Rowley right-hand partner.
The Warners and all of them to defend the Warners and so on.
Yeah, well,
we know who they prefer and rather could go away with the whole country and, of course, commit any kind of criminal act and given a slap on the wrist or no penalty whatsoever. But go ahead.
You remember soon after that happened, not too long after that happened, the Parliament decided was to take the matter to the High Court and all kind and threaten the ULA and all like that, right? You remember that situation there?
Yeah.
And in her reply, she was saying that she have no knowledge of that.
Right.
She said that. She said she had no knowledge of that. But what triggered the last transferring and the replacement of the ACP in Tobago and the senior super is when after all that done, the crime situation started rising in Tobago like that.
Yes.
Right? And then comes the situation where the Secretary for Infrastructure was raided, right? With a warrant and all like that.
Yeah. And other persons.
And what they were saying is that was want to know how come where they get a warrant was to raid a place, but bam, come and happen. Like earlier realized that this man shit hitting his fan and going in his face. So she decided to remove him from Tobago. Right? She removed him from Tobago, he and his senior soup.
Yeah, it's something that she did that Rowley and the evil could no longer prevail, and so she became a victim of Rowley and the vindictiveness and evil and criminal behavior. That's all that is about.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
And I watching the whole situation. This woman who come now and she right in front. She's the front row woman right now.
Yeah, this Suzette woman. She is the one that when Rowley said jump high, how high she asked him how higher. Yeah.
She in front, boy. She in the front row seat,
Yeah. Take charge of the
like they really want to throw that woman out of the bus in serious,
Yeah, that's what happened there. That's what happened there.
Because they went down St. James and removed she from she resident,
Yeah.
And all these things. So that is something like it had to do with politics too, Lennox. This thing had
but
to do
it's
with
only politics. that
coming from the police itself.
That Suzette and they are playing to the politics of the evil politics of Rowley and all of them will be, of course, rounded up and they get their just due when Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, gets into office. It's a simple case, and they will have to account now to the relevant judicial system. Go ahead.
She get to realize something. The first thing when they try to raid Farley House, she realized that all that, she get to realize that look, like these people like they're sticking me in a position. So she started to get to realize and she started not to play the game.
Yes.
And there's where she went wrong.
Yeah.
There's where she went wrong. So I always tell myself, you see that last chance when she transferred her father to Trinidad, I know they're coming for she.
Yeah, obviously that is what has happened. I mean, the pattern of behavior is sinister, is evil, diabolical, is wicked, is Luciferian. It is, of course, criminal, it is barbaric, it is obnoxious, and it is high-handed, and, of course, dictatorial. Go ahead, my friend.
That policeman is a key PNM official in Tobago. You hear what I'm telling you?
Yes. I'm not surprised.
By removing it from Tobago, the kind of things that the PNM want to do in Tobago, they can't do it anymore.
That's right.
And they will not take chance to do to them.
So they want to remove, they decide to remove, of course, the sitting commissioner to put, of course, don't be surprised, to put, of course, either a lackey that they know of, or find a way to get Suzette, even though, of course, she may be unqualified minimally to be commissioner of police.
Yeah, I bypassing them and what they're doing in this PNM government real stink and rotten.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, a bunch of criminals.
They're real stink and rotten.
No doubt.
Everything unfolding in front of them.
Yeah. All right,
all
my friend.
All nonsense that the rotten is just scattering all in their face.
Yes. All right, thanks very much. Of course, it's almost...
Oh, no, man, you have a good night.
Same to you, 10 o'clock. So, yeah, okay, my friend. Yes, final call. Of course, it's... President, good night once again, Mr. Tagrigo.
Hey, Lennox.
Hey.
Munila said last night that when Boros was arrested, was under no SOE, and that's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. And of course, it was a consequence of a commission of inquiry too.
Right, because watch me. Suzette bring that compass today.
Yeah.
She Boros was arrested, in other words. So why you might just want to be arrested?
That's right. Well, she too. She Suzette too.
But also, Lennox, as I recall, when Robin flew under the arrest of Boros.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Robinson.
Yeah, consequential of the commission of inquiry that called his name, called call Lawrence Barrage's name and so on and so forth.
Well,
the Scott drug report, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the point I want to make here, Lennox, no junior officer like Suzette couldn't arrest Boros. It had to come from high up.
Yeah, but that's what happened there. Rowley and they say that they are not involved, etc. That is what happened. She couldn't get a CARICOM plane to go and pick up a man in Barbados.
But the man
on she own. It must be, and I'm saying so with categorically and without fear of contradiction. Heinz, you knew. Rowley know too. Yeah, open checkbook to them. And I sure Rowley would have told them, don't think nothing, we go pay you back. That's what happened there. That's how they're using our money for criminal behavior and misbehavior in public office. And of course, the manipulation of this of the system for criminal and personal gains. And of course, the subversion of the course of criminal justice. That is what they are about. Nothing else. Somehow they believe that they could fool us to stay in office. But nothing. Because evil could never prevail over good. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, the point I'm making is,
go ahead.
A junior officer like Suzette could not arrest boroughs.
Of course
That
not.
From high up.
Of course not. And she sent even a more junior officer. I think he's a sergeant. If it's over to interrogate the commissioner of police.
Imagine that.
Just imagine that. What more humiliation you want?
She's not the commissioner.
If I was she, me leave, I'm telling you, if it's me leaving, unless I generate enough to send these fellas and them where they belong, including the Prime Minister.
I look at that woman tonight on the television.
I mean, you feeling sorry for she?
Yes, she looks distraught, boy.
Yeah, totally amazed.
Totally distraught, boy, Lennox.
Yeah, she face glaze.
Oh, God.
Ablum, no expression. She shocked.
She must be shocked. Imagine you say no, you're and this Susan will come to tell you are direct.
Yeah, just imagine that. All right, my friend. Well, let me go.
Yeah, now, watch a movie tonight, eh?
Yes, I will. Later. All right, partners. Okay. Thank you. All right. Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end. Let me just try to play. Let's play Kamala Prasad-Bissessa's prediction before we go. I think it's an appropriate end to tonight's program.
Now, I have a concern with Regulation 11. This has to do with the guns. Where they're saying if you come and you surrender your gun, okay, under Regulation 12, let me read it for you. No person who surrenders any firearm, and I'm going somewhere with this, it's not just low here. This is going at people right now, some wicked people. No person who surrenders any firearm, ammunition, or explosive during any period prescribed, and otherwise in accordance with an order to surrender, no person shall be prosecuted under the Firearms Act or regulation for illegally purchasing, acquiring, or possessing such firearm, ammunition, or explosive. Certain weapons that you cannot have in your possession, you cannot acquire, and so on, but unless you have something called an FUL, the license. But there's another category of weapons, they're known as prohibited weapons. So no FUL, no commissioner could sign a permit for nobody as a civilian to have. That is only for people in the protective services, okay? Bear along here with me. Now, we had that provision in our SOE way back in 2011, but we never implemented it. Because that, if you want to implement that again, you have to come to Parliament and pass a law by special majority vote. Because if you have a crime, possessing this prohibited weapon, you can't take away a crime. You cannot exonerate a criminal who had possession of a prohibited weapon by a simple regulation. So 11 is in effect a kind of gun amnesty. And what it does is to unlawfully close down, fetter the discretion of the DPP under Section 90 of the Constitution. That section is one of those provisions to which Section 54(3) of the Constitution applies, which means it is deeply entrenched. You cannot change it by regulation. You cannot change it by simple, Act of Parliament. Must be a special majority, 2/3 of the houses, the Senate and the House. Cannot do it under regulation. So tonight I ask this. Why did you include Regulation 11 to give what I'm calling a gun amnesty, which is to say, if you bring in the gun, the prohibited gun, it's all right, fellas, bye, nice, well done, good boy. Why did you put it there? Is there any senior government official under investigation for possessing a prohibited weapon? It might be a young person, or old person, I don't know. I really don't know.
I hope people are not confused or in any way discombobulated by that reference that was made by Kamala. When she said young, she means short young. And whether he was under investigation for a prohibited weapon, let's not waste time. And if all of what transpired, and Suzette's, of course, complicity is to, of course, pursue the agenda of attempting, of course, to exonerate and to, of course, sanitize Stuart Young whose name is called by, of course, indirectly, of course, I'm not saying I'm repeating what Kamala says, but she has said it in an innuendo fashion, a circumlocutive fashion, a roundabout fashion. And we have a duty, of course, to say so. Because it is about, of course, the integrity of our institutions. And those who do not have any integrity, especially where, of course, you are dishonorable. Because where dishonorable persons seek honorable office as a minister, but you are dishonorable, only dishonorable devastation, disaster could ensue, as we are seeing unfolding on a daily basis. So when she say young, being, of course, what I consider to be, or she is trying, of course, to be indirect, we must go direct and understand that that young is church young she's talking about. And let's take this final call. This is a final call. I don't want to take any more calls, but I'll take this one.
Lennox,
Pleasant good night.
I ain't staying long, Lennox. I ain't staying long.
Go ahead.
So Lennox.
Yeah.
So we buying gas from Jamaica now.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I send you a video. Go take a look at it when you get a chance, right?
No problem. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, indeed. So that's what she said.
Is there any senior government official under investigation for possessing a prohibited weapon? It might be a young person, or old person, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm asking, is there any investigation, government official, under investigation for possessing a prohibited weapon under the Firearms Act? And is this Regulation 11 is to ease them up and say, good boy, well done, bring it home, drop it on the desk. Who from the TTPS approved a permit to purchase this rifle? Whom? Who is the dealer who imported this automatic firearm and sold it to a senior official? So is this proposed Regulation 11 aimed at helping senior officials, senior TTPS officials, gun dealers, to evade prosecution for possession of this prohibited automatic firearm? My lawyers and I are looking at writing to the DPP formally about this provision, because I suspect it is intended to protect some very high up office holders. So we will not let that go. We shall pursue it. I pledge to you tonight as a mother. I see your children as my own children. I want them to live in a safe nation filled with opportunities to grow and prosper. And this is why I say to you tonight, we must make sure when that bell is rung that we vote them out, every single one of them, every single one. So the enchambers have lost their way, but they will come back and lie and try to mama guy and fool you again. Lie, cry, and mama guy. Don't get chained up this time. Don't get chained up again at all, at all, at all. And tonight I say, let's get rid of Imbert. Let's get rid of Camille. Let's get rid of every single one. Stuart Young, everyone, call them all. Every single one must go. And I want to tell you this. We have seen, and we must not forget, that the whole cabinet was responsible for the highest murder rates in our history. The whole cabinet was responsible for the highest food prices in our history. They were all responsible for the $3 billion that's still missing. And this is Prime Minister, as he told what he said, the rich will get richer. Not one PNM MP stood up and said no to the 4%. But they stood up and said yes to the 47% increase on the back pay and the higher pension. Yes, they said they all agreed to that in their cabinet. Not one of these people rejected our SRC report for those increases. Not one of them said no to the property tax. Remember that? So they're all complicit. Damien Trigel may complicit whole lot. They're all in this together. They were all in that together. They're all responsible for our mess. No matter how many plasters the PNM put on those sores, the scars are still there. The pain is still there. And the only way to get rid of that pain and suffering is to do what? Vote them out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they send to lead the PNM on election day. All, I say it again, must go. Get that into your brain. All. Vote them out. What do we do? Vote them out. They're trying all the tricks in the book. Public is looking on. And all we can see watching this soap opera is how the mighty have fallen. What is in the darkness always comes to light. It is clear that the PNM lied and lied and lied to us. They said every nasty and destructive thing they could find to say about the UNC. Now it's all coming to light. All the lies. Nothing new to lie and accuse about. So they have no campaign. They have no campaign. Because guess what? God don't sleep. And I know that once we work together and stay together, that we'll forward into this 2025 triumphantly into victory. The sun will rise again. The sun will rise again. God bless you. Now, I have a concern with Regulation 11. This has to do with the guns. Where they say if you come,
come down,
and you surrender your gun, okay, under Regulation 12. Let me read it for you. No person who surrenders any firearm
you're claiming PNM them is boss, but look how high the crime rate is now. PNM feel the bride. The guy we need election.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Don't forget, of course, that tomorrow night we continue with these and others. We're gonna get to the bottom of it, and we're gonna be with a high degree of clarity. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.
And what good for the people and them to vote you. On the night you post you look nice. A million followers, a million likes. In the grocery, the food price high. Give me 2% and see we with line. That man can mama guy. You feel it too bright. Yeah, we need election tonight. Come down from there, Rowley. Come down from there, Rowley. Take me to the advice. Calling in with them, they not nice. Come down from there, Rowley. Come down from there. Hands when you come down. You run on the beat of the mama guy, poor people. Go you get wet down. Champa always in a zest. Least for development in a mess. Can you give the government credit card arrest? Remember when you buy all the big and dress? Comments are millions if you check. Tell the people them how you get it. PNM government them on it. Every minute them would raise the budget. PNM government them on it. Suffer poor people in pandemic. PNM government them on it. Give we 2% then they laugh at it. PNM government them on it. Them on it. PNM feel the bright. The guy we election tonight. Come down from there, Rowley. Come down from there, Rowley. Give me stupid advice. Champa go to them, they not nice. Come down from there, Rowley. Come down from there, Rowley. Rowley, come down.